Alright, thank you so much, Maddie. My name is Ashton Sanders. I'm going to be showcasing my mountain village that I created for my level for this sprint. And my mechanic that I'm going to be focusing on is a freeze mechanic, so it's going to freeze enemies in place. I'll be using our executable 37 for this playthrough. Go ahead and start it up. So mountain village, click that. And you're in this big open space here, but clearly there's a sign right when you start off that says, "Welcome to the mountains." So here you can use the cold air to your advantage. Press 1 to freeze your opponents where they stand. So the reason I put this sign in here, it's a little on the nose, and I would like a little tutorial section if I had time to work it in, but essentially last level that I created, I didn't have much player communication, and so a lot of players, actually I think every player that tried my level, could not figure out how to dash, which was the mechanic I was trying to showcase in the level, so definitely want to do a better job of that this time around. So I have these enemies here. These are going to be the enemies throughout the map. They're pretty simple enemy types. They don't patrol, but they do attack on sight, and so they do melee damage to the player, and the goal of that is to showcase the freeze mechanic, because obviously if they're doing range damage and you can freeze any enemies that are close to you, it doesn't really do a whole lot. So I'll go over here, doing damage. You can see that they damage my health. They chase after me when I'm in view. Some of them do. There we go. You freeze, and they'll just stop moving. And then they'll start moving again when the freeze wears off. And I'll show that again with a bigger group here. Got a big group of people. Alright. All doing a bunch of damage. And there's a little bit of crowd control. So the biggest thing with these enemies, they have the pawn sensing component. So as soon as you're behind them, they're not going to be able to do much to you. But yeah, you can see they immediately disable, but when you're in front of them, they are going to chase you all the way across the map. The nav mesh actually expands across the entire map, and the whole point of doing it that way, didn't want to focus too much on having an enemy that patrols around and has a really complicated state machine system and transitions throughout the map. My focus was obviously showcasing the freeze mechanic, so I focused instead on having a simple enemy type that I could then freeze in place and defeat. So I'm going to leave that health there so I can showcase. I picked it up anyway. I like to showcase my on player defeat, or player overwhelmed, player can't win, loss condition. That's what it is. So to showcase my loss condition, I have all these enemies that are just blowing me up, running around. Oh, they're doing tons and tons of damage. These guys are just looking at each other, don't know what's going on, might just be an overwhelming number in here. And then if you reach 0 health, you died, so you gotta try again. So 0 health is the loss condition, and it works properly. So now, we got the freeze mechanic working. And so, now let's go ahead and complete the level. So the level itself is a bit big. I should have scaled it down a little bit. I had a level layout that I was using when I was actually creating it, but should have paid a little bit of attention to the metrics level, just because nobody wants to run in a straight line that long. Coming over here, this is how you escape. So there's a little task list that I provided for the player. Again, I'm trying to provide more player communication, so it's a little clearer how the level works and how to complete it. So task list, there's a rock in the way, and there's a big pile of rocks in the way. So you have to find a way to get past the rock. Blow it up. That's going to be how to do it, and so that's just kind of a hint on how to do it. Explore the map, find the cave, beat all the bad guys, find the teleporter, and then escape. Teleporter in this level is pretty simple. It's not a very complicated teleporter. Just because I don't have a boss that's going to spawn in. I don't have waves of enemies that are going to get in the way of the teleporter working, so why have it work extra hard? For no good reason. I'm going to take some damage here. Come over here, collect some coins, collect some health. We're in business. So this is going to be the entrance to the cave. You can see, oh, you need a key to unlock the grate. You can't do it without the key. Thankfully, I happen to know where the key is, so we can just go straight to it. Place them in place. Alright, cool. Come in here. This has 5 coins, so if you're ever in a situation, which there are more coins on the map than there are treasure boxes, so should be plenty of opportunity to collect the coins you need to open this box, but it does cost 5, and then you can pick up the great key. So with the great key, we can now go unlock the grate. When you unlock the grate, it spawns a rope. If I interact with the rope, it takes me to a whole new place. So this is the cavern under the well. You can see my rope going all the way to the top. You can also see the light bleeding in. I think it's got to be something with the landscape, the actual landscape component versus the what did we use? Super grid. So when the super grid meets the landscape asset. Anyway, when it meets the asset, it doesn't seem to do a great job of blocking the light, and so would have liked to spend a little bit of time cleaning that up, but it does end up helping the player out a little bit. So instead of the player being in total darkness, obviously I added more lights, and compared to my last level, this level is much brighter. I have little they're not spotlights, but they're just area lights in the important sections of the cave, so the player can navigate once the cave lighting adjusts. You can see here the biggest, brightest object in the whole cave is this glowing box and this item on top of it. So ideally, I'd like to have a little fire symbol, so it's clearly a flammable item, so that showcases the explosive item that it's supposed to be. But I think making a bright red item is generally a pretty good indicator that you can blow it up, at least to players. We'll go over here. And so now over by the rock pile, you can see there's a little spot that has appeared. This spot is going to be where I place the barrel. And so the barrel will do damage to the player. I think it does 500 damage if the player's too close, and that would absolutely kill me right now, so I'm not going to do that because that's a lot of level to run through. But if you shoot it, it blows up, and then we have this nice little path right through the rocks. There is one more thing I wanted to showcase. I'll use this little path up here. You can see there's some mountains in the background, added that for the ambiance of the overall scene. And also use this atmospheric fog, or is it the fog density height map, something along those lines. And so there was a challenge because my well is actually located on the other side of these mountains, which means that it's below the fog line. So I have to have it set up so when you actually trigger the well and you're teleporting using the rope to go to the well, it disables the fog while you're in the well, and then it re-enables when you're back to this part of the level. So that was a little tricky to figure out. But now you've exploded the map, your freeze mechanic works, we can interact with the teleporter, and you win! Yay! So fully completed level. Obviously there's still some work to be done on it in terms of cleaning it up and making it nice and pretty, but it does function, everything works the way it's supposed to, and on top of everything, the enemies freeze, which is an achievement because it took me a very long time to figure out how to get the for loops working and churning the way that they were supposed to. So very pleased with it, very proud of it, and I hope you enjoy.